So we just had lunch. I'll tell you about it in a little bit. We're heading home now. It is pouring rain, really nasty out. Yeah, I don't know. Can you guys see the clouds back there? There's several tornado warnings out, and Kokomo happens to be under one. Wabash currently isn't, but I'm a little nervous about going back to Kokomo. I normally take the back roads, back by Greentown and such, and Swayze and all that, but they had tornadoes touch down last weekend, so I'm kind of nervous to go that way. It's got another till 3:30 tornado warning till 3:30. Yeah, so getting gas real quick. Kind of nervous to have to stop, but like I had to stop. There's no way I'm getting back to town without gas. I'm that low. So pray for us. Hopefully we get back okay, because I don't want to go through another tornado. If I live through this and we do fine, remind me to tell you later about the time that we had to live through a tornado. Really, that happened twice. Been through a couple really bad hurricanes and 2 tornadoes, so fun stuff. But hopefully we get back to town okay. Going back inside, still sitting here at the gas station. I want to check that warning that came in. I'm just getting another one. A big part of the state is under a tornado watch, and Kokomo is under a tornado warning. I believe warning means one is on the ground, watch means they're watching for them. So I looked at the graph for like where the warning is at, and heading the back roads is not going to happen because it is all under warning, whereas coming from the north end of town, it's still under warning, but it's closer to home and it's like less of a warning. So hopefully by the time we get to town, it'll have passed. We shall see. Currently Wabash is not under any kind of warning or watch, but I have a feeling it will be before long because of how the storm's going. So we'll see. As for lunch, we went to Bob Evans. I got the chicken Cobb salad as I normally do, and Mike got the sunshine skillets. I did not vlog any because, I don't know, I just feel weird vlogging out in public with like people around me, for one. For two, Mike doesn't really like being on camera. He doesn't mind it so much when he's playing with pets. Granted, I don't think he always realizes that I'm filming, but he doesn't really like want to be talking to the camera type stuff. So I don't know, maybe I'll vlog a little bit tonight with him when we're at home, like in our own home. But yeah, I'm gonna head on out. We should be okay, don't worry guys. I'll see you guys in a little bit. Guys, I'm kind of freaking out. I just had the radio on, and there is a confirmed tornado on the ground in Kokomo coming through the downtown area. It's 30 miles an hour with damaging winds, and I live like a mile, if that, from the downtown area. Like maybe 2 miles. Like seriously, we can get to downtown, we're driving our car in like 3 minutes. Like we're that close in driving distance to the downtown area. So kind of freaking out because I'm really close, like we live that close to it. Obviously we're not there, which is good, but if we were there, I mean, we have a basement we could get into, which would be a lot safer than driving out here in the middle of nowhere. Granted, Wabash is still not under any kind of a warning, and I'm taking the long, not the long way, it's actually quicker because it's highway, but I'm currently northeast of Kokomo, heading towards Kokomo. Kind of feel like an idiot, like normally you drive away from a storm, not into it and towards it, but I don't know where else to go, and it's coming this direction anyway, so it's either head that way and hopefully it'll like die down on my way or something, or sit here and wait for it to get here. I don't know. Apparently the tornado warning is supposed to be up in 10 minutes, but they're probably gonna like extend it, is what the radio is saying. But I just want to get on here and tell you guys what's going on. I'm kind of freaking out. Hopefully my house is okay. Hopefully I can get to my house. Last time we had really bad tornadoes come through Kokomo was 2 or 3 years ago. And I'm not going to get into the full story now, but there was a lot of damage, and they actually put a, I don't know what you call it, a restriction on the town. Like nobody was allowed to be out driving, and nobody was allowed to get out of town. And if you got out of town, you weren't allowed to get back in. And it happened to be the time that my mother and father-in-law's house got hit by a tornado the next county over. Like there's tornadoes all over the state that time. Sorry, I'm not looking at the camera, I'm looking at the road. So their house got destroyed by a tornado, and we happened to live on the edge of town in our apartment, and we were able to get out of town. Like we left immediately before any kind of restrictions were put on, and thankfully we were able to get back into town. Guys, so I pulled over to the side of the road because I have people calling me that I need to talk to. My sister-in-law was trying to call me to let me know what was going on and tell me not to head towards Greentown, which she thought I was at home. And I told her no, I was leaving Wabash, and she was like, well, don't head towards Greentown, which I didn't. I'm so glad I checked the alert to see like how large the thing was, and it's definitely heading towards Greentown, which is east of Kokomo, like directly east of Kokomo, which Wabash is northeast of Kokomo. but if I take the back way, like, I come in through Greentown. Wabash is not under any kind of warnings right now, even though it's raining really hard. It's kind of scary. I just got a message from my friend Sarah, who just said that we've had 2 touchdowns in Kokomo, which I just got from my parents. My parents made it to my house, which was good, and got in our basement. They said on the way to our house, they had to drive through some of it. They seen the funnel cloud. The funnel cloud was over my house. It didn't touch down, thank God, but it was over my house. And they said that the lightning was insane, and they're in the basement, and they have my dog in the basement. I hope they brought their dog. I hope Missy's okay. I hope my parents' house is okay. I'm glad my house is okay. It'll be interesting to see how much damage there is. There was messages. The radio, when I had it on, was saying that there's going to be restrictions tonight. I think I might have already told you guys this. I don't know. I'm like shaking. Like I said, I've been through 2 tornadoes before. I don't want to do this again. And I have my baby with me, so it's not just me this time. And I'm by myself, which is terrifying. And I really just need to calm down, because the warning is about over in Kokomo. There's not much left to it, and Wabash is completely fine. We're almost out. The storm system's almost past us. Even though it started raining really hard just now, I can see the sun starting to come out. So it's almost over with here. We're about done with the storm. But I'm like freaking out. I hate storms. I'm so glad we don't live in our trailer anymore. But I'm so thankful for family. I mean, my mother-in-law tried calling me just now, which I missed the phone call because I was on the phone with my mom. My mom called me to let me know and see where I was at. My sister-in-law called me. My other sister-in-law texted me. My best friend just texted me. So thankful. I feel so loved. But it's still scary, and I guess there's a big building in the Kokomo that collapsed. Like, not a home, but a building. And they were saying there's going to be restrictions out tonight for people not to be out driving around, because they're going to have like EMT and stuff out helping people like recover their homes and stuff. So I told my parents they may just have to stay the night with us and not leave. That's a good thing I have a big thing of corn chowder going. There's going to be plenty to go around. So yeah, I guess I'm just going to sit here for a few more minutes and wait it out. I'm going to send Mike a text and let him know we're okay. Probably call my mother-in-law back, let her know we're okay, my sister-in-law, and just kind of wait it out right here. My legs are shaking so bad. I don't know if you guys can see that. My legs are shaking so bad. Oh my gosh, I hate storms. So I will let you guys know how the story ends. I'm so glad we weren't at home, because seriously, like, I never hear anything in our house. It's so well insulated, which is a good thing, but I never hear storm. Like, it has to be raining really hard out for me to hear it. I had to pull over for a minute. I know the way I'm crying, so I'm going to say that I know somebody who died in this or something. But the radio just reported that the Starbucks, I know this is going to sound awful, starting off saying Starbucks. The Starbucks is a complete pile of rubble. The neighborhood across the street from the Starbucks has been hit. I don't personally know anybody who works at the Starbucks or in that neighborhood. This may sound totally selfish. I mean, I'm worried about the Starbucks workers. I doubt they have a basement. Hopefully they got someplace safe. I guess the mall behind the Starbucks is fine, but it hit the Starbucks and demolished it. And hopefully the people in those neighborhoods are okay. I guess there are a lot of homes without roofs right now. What has me so terrified is the fact that that's like, oh my god, that is like not even 1/4 of a mile away from my house. Like, that is and my parents are there, and I know we have a basement, and like, you feel safe saying you have a basement, but honestly, in the last tornado, there was somebody I know who was in a basement, and the basement, like, the house was old, like ours. Our house is over 100 years old. And I think about this, their house was so old, the basement couldn't handle it when the structure fell, and the car went into the basement, and she almost died. It was somebody that I knew personally. It was amazing. She should have died, but she only walked away with a few scratches. I think maybe a broken rib. But I think about that stuff, and to know that touchdown so close to my house where my parents are, and to know that, like, what if my basement couldn't handle it? What if, I don't know. Just to know we came so close to losing everything, to losing my parents. And I really just, I hope the people at Starbucks and the people at that neighborhood, I hope nobody died. I hope everybody's okay. Nobody's seriously injured. But I just had to pull over because that's just, I mean, the last time when it happened, I lived close to that neighborhood, and so we got quite a bit of the effects of that. It was actually a little bit closer to my apartment building. But my apartment building was brick, and we were in the basement, like, trying to get down to the basement. And so, like, when you're living it, like, when you're in it and you're living it, like, you don't have time to think about everything you might lose and everybody you might lose. You're just trying to get someplace safe. But then to hear about it and to know what people went through and to know how close I came to losing my family. Like, I'm an only child. My parents are all that I have. And they're obviously not all that I have. I mean, I have my baby, I have my husband, I have a lot of aunts and cousins that I'm very close with, but, like, you get what I'm saying? Like, they're my parents. I don't have siblings. I don't have that. So, I'm scared to go home. Like, I'm ready to be home, but I'm scared to go home because I'm scared to see how much destruction there is in my city. I love my hometown. Like, I don't want to leave Kokomo. I don't think I'd ever want to move. I mean, sometimes I talk about it, like maybe going to Wabash. I like Wabash, and Mike works here. We've talked about that, and I wouldn't be against it, but Kokomo is my home. And to know that the people are hurting and that there's been so much damage. I'm scared to go. I'm scared to see it. The last tornado was just, there was so much damage with that last tornado, and now we have another one in nearly the same spot. It's you're talking like real close. So, and hopefully everybody in Greentown will be okay. It's heading into Grant County, which is where my husband's family lives. Hopefully they'll be okay and nothing will happen. I guess according to the radio, the storm's really dying down. Even as it enters Grant County, it's really, really dying down. So hopefully everything will be okay. But as they were saying, like with last weekend's storms, as it was entering Grant County, excuse me, it had really died down, and they lifted the warnings, and a tornado still touched down, but thankfully it was just in a cornfield, so there was no like damage to anybody's homes or businesses, and there was no people near it. Like, there were people out videoing it from a couple miles away, but there was no damage to like actual homes and, you know, stuff like that. I guess the local schools are holding the children at the schools for safety reasons, obviously. They're not releasing them, which is 3:50, and they would have all gotten out of school, I think, by now. I hate tornadoes. I hate big storms. Oh man, hurricanes are awful. They're terrifying, but at least, like, you know they're coming. When with tornadoes, you don't have as much time. Like my parents, I think the radio said they had 26 minutes to get to a safe place. So they started heading to my house, which took them like 10 minutes to get there. When they got there, the funnel cloud was passing over my house. Oh my god. I'm so thankful that did not touch down when they were outside my house. And part of you says, well, they'd have been safer staying in their house. But their house is on the east side, southeast side of town. And there was another tornado that went through Rushville, which is a little town just on the southeast side of Kokomo. My parents are on the south. Rushville's on the southwest side. My parents live on the southeast, and there was a tornado that touched down in Rushville, from Rushville to the eastern part towards where my parents live. So we don't know if their house is standing or not. And oh my god. Oh. I need to let you guys go. I need to get driving. Levi is like, he's waking up getting fussy. I think he needs a diaper change. Poor kid. I'll let you guys know how things are when we get in town. So I don't know how well you can see me, but I'm in my basement. Been a lot of damage. Everybody that I know is so far okay. Even my friends in Indianapolis are okay, even though they've been getting tornadoes, I guess. They've had some close, touchdown pretty close, but they're okay as well. We've got more storms coming through with possibility of tornadoes, so we're chilling down here. My parents are okay, they're here. And Mike isn't home yet, but he should be close, so hopefully he gets home soon. So I'll keep you guys updated. So just wanted to come on here and give you guys a little bit of an update. It's the next day. Just want to let you guys know we're all okay. The storms are over with, but we do have more coming in tonight. My house was fine. We made it through. We are without power, like most of Kokomo is without power. So we packed up and came to my mother and father-in-law's house last night because we didn't want little guy to get overheated. It looks like it's going to get pretty muggy out today with all the water that we got recently. So we are hanging out here today. Husband took the car to work and everybody else left, so I'm just kind of chilling here by myself. Well, with little man, but he does mostly sleeping. So, and we have Molly here as well. She's on my lap. The cats had to stay at our house, but they can get down to the basement. The basement tends to stay cooler than the rest of the house, so I'm not too worried about them. But yeah, my parents' house is fine, thankfully. No damage done there. And to my knowledge, nobody else that, like, none of their family or anything got affected by this, thankfully. Yeah, it's gonna be a rough next few months for the city to rebuild. Like I said, it was only like three years ago, really, that storms hit and really did a lot of damage. And I know this batch of storms that just came through yesterday hitting the same neighborhood that got hit last time. And so some of these people are having deja vu and having to go through this all again, which is horrible. To my knowledge, no one has been killed in all of this, but there were, like, reported on the news, there were like 20 some injuries, but I don't think anything major. There is a relief center, I guess, set up at the Kokomo Civic Center, which, or I guess now it's called the Ivy Tech Building, but it's pretty much the town welcome center or convention center, I guess is what I should call it. So there are I think like 200 some people there that are displaced from their homes. Mike and I and Levi would be there if it wasn't for being able to come to the in-laws. So very thankful, very blessed that we have family that we can come to. Not saying we don't have family in Kokomo we go to, we do, but none of them have power, so, you know. So, yeah, that's kind of how things are going. This evening, my parents went and bought a generator for their house, which Mike and I don't have the money to do that, but they bought a generator for their house. It's a small one, but it's enough to put their fridge and freezer on it so, like, they don't lose all their groceries. So that's good that they're going to be okay with all of that. There's a chance Mike and I may lose all of our groceries, which really sucks, because we'd gotten down really, really low. My parents ended up having to buy some groceries for us last week. And then we had some financial issues a couple weeks ago, and we ended up not having any groceries. Like, we had plenty of food for him, but for Mike and I, it was kind of like, what are we going to eat tonight? Like, we had food, but it was weird stuff, like, yeah. You know what I'm saying. If you've ever gotten tight on groceries and cash and you've got, like, weird, like, got a can of corn and some Lucky Charms, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just weird random stuff. It's kind of like how this is going to go together to make a meal type food. That's kind of where we were at. My parents surprised us and brought us a bunch of groceries, which helped get us through the following week, because it was going to be a week before we could go get groceries. And then last week when Mike got paid, after we got all of our bills paid, we went and stocked up on groceries hardcore. So we are really stocked up. Now this happens, there's no power. It's kind of like, are we going to lose it all? There's a possibility of it. So when Mike gets home this evening, so we figured when we came up here, we figured that the power would be on by morning. That's kind of what we were thinking. My parents, when we were there at Lowe's, they were talking to people there, and the word out on the street is that some people won't get power until tomorrow, which today's Thursday, so that's Friday. Other people won't get power till Saturday. and it's possible it could even be a full week for others, and we don't know what we fall under. So after Mike gets off of work, we're probably going to head home and check on everything, check on the cats, and if we don't have power, we're probably going to take all the food out of our freezer, assuming it hasn't all, like, thawed out and been ruined, and take it down to the deep freezer in the basement, and then go pack that with ice. Hindsight's 2020, I guess we should have done that last night, but when we decided to finally come out here to my in-laws' house, it was fairly late at night, because our house stayed fairly cool, and we were thinking, well, maybe we could just make it through the day, and then Levi and I could just come here today. I mean, maybe we could make it through the night at our house, and then Levi and I could just come here today, because it stayed pretty cool in our house, like, all evening, like, I don't know, it was like 8 or 9 at night when we decided to come out here, but the heat finally started creeping in. It started getting really muggy, and we decided we didn't want to risk having him in a hot house all night. So we packed everything up, and we just grabbed what we needed for overnight and for one day. Got a finger in my mouth. So hopefully we don't lose all of our groceries. We didn't have a whole lot in the refrigerator, which is good, but we did have a lot in our freezer. We have 2 freezers upstairs that we use. We have one attached to the refrigerator, and then we have a small deep freezer on the porch. And there's a really big deep freezer in the basement that was my grandmother's that I would love to get rid of because it's massive and we don't need that much freezer space. So it just has jugs of water in it to help keep it from running really hard. But we leave it on because we don't want it to go moldy, and we haven't been able to get rid of it. So I guess in this case, it's kind of like thankfully it's there because it'll fit all of our food, and we can just move it down there. The food that's upstairs on the porch, I would leave there, except for the porch isn't very well insulated. So we do lose a lot of our heat and AC through there. So I imagine that porch is going to get quite hot. And without the freezer being on, it's not going to be good for everything that's in there, which sucks because that's like where primarily all of our frozen goods are, is in that freezer on the porch. So hopefully, it being shut, it'll stay cold, and it's packed full of frozen things, so hopefully it just helps keep everything cold and insulated, and we can get it all moved down to the basement and we won't lose all of our groceries. But if it happens, it happens. I mean, losing our groceries is nothing compared to losing your house. So if that's the worst we get out of it, is we lose our groceries, then I guess can't complain. Yeah, so that's kind of how things are going. I'm tired. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up for this vlog. I'd say I hope you guys enjoyed this, but it wasn't very enjoyable for me, to be honest with you. I mean, the first part of it I enjoyed vlogging, but the last part of this hasn't been very fun. So I hope everyone out there is safe and okay. I know there was a lot of storms that cut across Indiana, a lot of tornadoes touched down. It looked like Kansas had quite a bit of tornadoes last night, so I hope everybody out that way is safe. Looks like quite a few of them went into Ohio. Not sure if there was anything in Illinois. There may have been. So I just hope everybody out there is safe, and there's hopefully no loss of life, no major physical injuries. I know there's been lots of damage done. But my prayers and thoughts are with all of you, and thanks for watching. Okay guys, I'm gonna insert this before my outro because I was out in town today and I did drive past the Starbucks and a lot of stuff, so I went ahead and filmed the Starbucks. I filmed a little bit of the damage across the street, but that's like a whole housing district, and it's really bad. It's amazing nobody died in this. At least nobody's been reported dead so far. I would imagine by now they have checked all the houses, but I could be wrong. It's only been a couple of days. Yeah, I didn't film much on that side because, as I mentioned in the video, if someone filmed my house, if my house was destroyed, somebody filmed that and put it online for other people to look at, I don't know how I'd feel about that. So I didn't film that side, but I did film the Starbucks. The little strip mall behind it, I think you guys can see that in the video. I think I got that. It's kind of off to the side and behind it. It might not be in there, but I think it is. I guess it had some damage and some blown out windows, but otherwise it was okay. Surprisingly, the Chili's right next to the Starbucks was fine. So the Starbucks just took a direct hit. thankfully nobody inside the Starbucks died. I think there might have been some minor injuries, maybe, I could be wrong. I heard there was something like 20 some odd injuries in all of this, but otherwise, so far, that's all that's been reported, last I heard. Yeah, and there was a part in this where, like, I dropped my phone down real quick because I drove past the cop car. As I drove past, I realized there was nobody in the cop car. They just have it blocking off the entrance to that neighborhood that 2 cop cars parked. One of them had nobody in it, and then the next entrance up had another cop car, and there was a cop sitting in it. So when I drove past the first one that had nobody in it, I didn't know there was nobody in it at first, so like, I dropped my phone down really quickly and shut it off. It's like, oh shit. Because I'm sure they have a lot of people coming through rubbernecking and filming like I was just doing. But yeah, that's, and I didn't film anything on the other side of town. When I went through there earlier, I should have, when I was thinking about it, because they had a lot of trees down. Granted, well, it was mostly people's houses, but there was a Harvey Hinkle Myers that was hit, and it's pretty roughed up. I imagine it'll be demolished. I find it odd that, like, all the news stations I've watched want to harp on the Starbucks, which it was the hardest hit. It was like completely collapsed, except for the very back half of it, which if you've noticed in any of the news shows of it, it looks like the entire thing fell down, but really like the back part of it stayed standing where like the kitchen would have been, and where the bathrooms I think were, which is where everybody was at, was in the bathroom, so everybody was safe. There was like somebody parked in my alley. I don't know what they're doing, so I'm gonna go ahead and go because I don't like how they're just sitting there with like my garage door open. So anyways, I'll go ahead and show everything I just filmed. So it's been a few days since the tornado came through, but I figured since I'm gonna be going down 31, I'll show you some of the destruction of everything that happened here in my town. I'll at least, I don't know, I think I'll at least just show you guys the Starbucks. I've seen some of it on lesser roads where it didn't hit as hard. I mean, I don't want to say it didn't hit as hard because it definitely destroyed homes, but it didn't hit as many. But that's still, you know, that's really bad for the people that live there. Anyways, I'm going to at least show you guys the Starbucks. It's been all over the news. I'm sure, like, a lot of people have seen it. I don't know if it's been on national news, but I imagine it has, because I remember when a tornado went through out west, it was a couple years ago, and it demolished a town. It was all over national news with how bad we were hit, I'm sure. So I seen on, like, one of the news stations, they were showing the damage, and the way that they showed it, I mean, it looked like how it was shown when it was that other city in that other state a couple years ago. But anyways, I'll just show you the Starbucks just because that is, like, you know, I don't want to say it's public property, it's not, but it's in people's homes. I feel like showing people's homes, that's so personal, and if somebody went through filming my home and then, like, put it on the internet, it would have been destroyed, I'd feel a little hurt. So I'll show you guys the Starbucks. If there's any other, like, public places that were damaged, I'll film those as well, but otherwise, I'm just going to show you guys Starbucks at least. You guys see that truck right there? They are all over town. You can see there's 2 of them. They're just full of tree limbs because there's so many trees down. And traffic looks kind of junked up here, coming closer to the Starbucks, so we'll see how everything goes, if I can film it or not. Okay, can you guys see that? That's the Starbucks. And here's some of the damage on this side. I don't want to film too much. I turned things off real quick because there was a cop car, but see, he's not pulling out in front of me. Okay, maybe no, he's not. Probably out trying people like me, you're out here filming. But there's the Starbucks right there. It's all demolished, and everything on the other side of the road here is just as bad, and that's all people's homes.